Welcome inside Lone Peak High School for a High School Rewind Game of the Week. I am Dusty Litster. Thanks for joining us on our matchup, the Lone Peak Knights and the Lehi Pioneers. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you along with us. We're back in Region 4 and home of one of the best programs, not just in the state, not just in the Western United States, but one of the best programs in the country in the last 5 years in Lone Peak High School, and excited to be able to watch this team come back after an outstanding showing at the Tarkanian Classic. Get a chance to see Lone Peak take on upstart Lehi. Let's start with the Pioneers. It was a tough game on Tuesday night. We had it here on a High School Rewind Game of the Week as they opened up region play against American Fort. It was a tough first half for the Pioneers, especially first quarter, but they got things going in the second half, have a little bit of momentum coming in this game. Although they lost to AF, they did close that game, which they were down 25 to 8 points at one point, end up losing in double digits, but I think this team learned a lot about themselves. Named a member in this game is Marcus Draney, number 4 for the Pioneers. He is their leading scorer, their best player. He's outstanding. He's going to have a good game on the road tonight against Lone Peak. He's going to have to be the leader for the Pioneers. Another name to remember also is going to be Tanner Nygren. Tanner is a bodied-up player. He reminds me a lot of Zach Frampton, who played here at Lone Peak. He has a lot of tools. He is going to be a key for the Pioneers to stay in this ball game tonight. When we talk about the Lone Peak Knights, you're talking about possibly the best player to ever play here in Frank Jackson. He scored 55 points in the Tarkanian Classic. We're excited to see what he does here tonight, looking to bounce back from a tough game against Harriman. It'll be interesting to see. We know our teams, our players, when we come back, it'll be the opening tip-off. You are watching High School Rewind only on Xfinity On Demand. Now we're set for the opening tip-off. Jumping for Lehi is number 15, Tyson Rupp. He's going against number 30, Dylan Heaton. The Lone Peak Knights in their home whites and Lehi in their road blacks. And we're underway in a High School Rewind Game of the Week into the hands of Frank Jackson. Jackson outside, Christian Papula drives the baseline, had it slapped out of his hands, picked up by Nygren. On the push now with the Pioneers, Nygren wisely pulls it out. And we'll set up the offense for Coach Bob Barnes and the Pioneers. Started out 8-0 on the season, lost a game to Juan Diego. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games. To be expected in high school basketball, it happens. Nygren foul down the lane. It'll be 2 shots coming to Tanner Nygren. The foul goes against Lone Peak's number 1, Tyson Doman. Nygren made the first free throw and has one more as he knocks them both down. 2-0 Lehi. Lehi is going to pressure the ball. They're going to play full court defense. Up the floor, Frank Jackson. Jackson transferred from Lehi to Lone Peak. Into the corner to Heaton, leaves it short. Rebound. Into the hands of Nygren. Back down the floor with Lehi. Pin in the corner, swatted away by Frank Jackson. 3-point attempt by number 23, Jake Barnes. Pin to get it in. Gets it into Barnes. Barnes in the corner, the Draney. And Draney pulls for 3 off the mark. Rebound to Frank Jackson. Jackson ahead to Doman, but it's picked off. Nice defense by Alex Pittard. Back down the floor with Nygren. He gives it up to Marcus Draney. Draney just a sophomore. Up top to Barnes. Barnes to Draney. Follow-away jumper over the top of Heaton and in. And it's 4-0 early for the Pioneers. Down the floor with Frank Jackson and the Knights. Hands off to Doman. Back to Jackson. Jackson in the lane with the left hand. And it crawls off, rebound to Heaton. He can't get the putback. Jackson goes back over, and they're going to get Jackson for over the back of Draney. It'll be the first team foul, and we'll go the other way with Lehi. First personal foul on Frank Jackson, second team foul on the Knights. 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the quarter. 4-0 the lead for Lehi. Here's Nygren. Now to Barnes. Barnes has the Pittard. Marcus Draney on the angle. Now to Nygren for 3, leaves it short. And it'll go out of bounds. We'll go with Lone Peak. 2 minutes into the game, you have to get a field goal from Lone Peak High School. Down the floor, Frank Jackson. Jackson had quite the tournament, the Tarkanian Classic at Bishop Gorman. Had 55 points in that tournament. He averaged well over 30 as Jackson hits his first 3-point attempt of the night. And it's 4-3 Lehi. Back down the floor with Pittard. Gives it up to Barnes. Now to Nygren. Here's Draney. Now Pittard. Back to Nygren. Nygren thought about 3, puts it on the floor. Jumper on the baseline, and he's fouled by Christian Papula. It'll be 2 free throws coming away at Tanner Nygren. First free throw good from Nygren. Second good as well. 6'3" Knights. Or pardon me, 6'3" Pioneers. Down the floor with Jackson. Jackson has that ball slapped away by Pittard. Ball still loose. Pittard comes up with it into the hands of Rupp. Now down the floor with Nygren. Nygren over to Draney up top. Barnes, now Pittard. Nygren along the baseline to the hole and one. The foul will be on Dolman, who is well underneath the hoop. And it'll be a +1 opportunity for Tanner Nygren. A +1 free throw for Nygren. Curtis with the board to Jackson ahead to Papula. That's off the hands of Pittard and will stay with the Knights. Inbound to Jackson. Hands to Christian Papula. The man transferred from Bishop Gorman. Crossover in the lane, out top. Now hands off Heaton. Here's Curtis. Curtis down the lane. He's fouled. And it comes off. The foul will be on Rupp. First team foul on Lehi. First free throw good from Curtis. He's got one more. Lips out the second. And Barnes with the board. 8-4 the lead for Lehi. Draney down the lane. Try to get it to Rupp. Tough pass out low. Curtis comes up with a loose ball in the hands of Frank Jackson. And Jackson is fouled by Pittard. It'll be the second team foul on the Pioneers. 4.5 remaining in the first quarter. Papula into the corner to Talmadge Gunther. Gunther's pass, the skip pass tipped away by Rupp. Tracked down by Heaton. Back to Jackson, who pulls for three. That's off the mark, and the rebound is still loose and controlled by Pittard. Pittard up the floor to Nygren. Here's Barnes on the angle, drops it into Rupp. Back to Barnes. Barnes in the lane, floated up short. And the rebound to Curtis. Here's Jackson. Pulls for three. And that's off the back of the iron. Gunther goes up for the board. And Pittard controls. He gets ahead to Nygren. Nygren, fall-away jumper over Heaton, too strong. Rupp tipped it out. And the ball still loose, picked up by Barnes. He'll hand back to Marcus Draney. Draney bumped up top by Gunther. And that'll be the 5th team foul on Lone Peak. 5 team fouls in the first, not even 5 minutes into the first quarter. Lone Peak racking up the fouls. It'll be bonus time almost throughout the second quarter for Lehi. Here's Nygren. Pittard in the corner to Draney. Draney will pull for three, too strong. And the rebound to Curtis. Pull it down the floor with Frank Jackson. He gives up Papula. Papula for three. And Christian Papula from downtown. First points of the game for Papula. And it's 8-7, and that's out of bounds off of Lehi. And we'll go the other way with Lone Peak. So after the turnover down the floor with Lone Peak, here's Frank Jackson. Jackson has 3 points here in the quarter. A tough start. Lob it up to Jackson. Curtis. Slapped away in the hands of Nygren. Nygren goes right to the defense to the hole with the left hand and finishes. Tanner Nygren having a terrific first quarter. He's got 8 points. Timeout. A foul. 2:48 remaining. 10-7 Lehi. So back down the floor with Frank Jackson. 3-point lead for Lehi. Much better start to this game than what they had on Tuesday night against American Fort. Lehi and AF, probably the class of this Region 4, which will be very, very tough. As Jackson in the lane, goes to the jump hook and scores. Got 5 points in the quarter. Pittard working on the dribble in the corner to Nygren for three. Tanner Nygren has 11 points in the corner. In the quarter after the three in the corner. And it's now 13-9 in favor of Lehi. Curtis the other way, goes glass. A little too strong, but is on line. Quickly back down the floor. That ball not kicked around, and it'll stay here with Lehi. 13-11, the lead for Lehi, and that ball is knocked out of bounds by Lone Peak, and will stay here. Pittard to trigger. Gets it in underneath. And going to the line to shoot 2 free throws is Parker Jackson. First free throw was off the mark from Jackson. He has one more. Second goes off as well, tipped up by Pittard. Controlled by Frank Jackson. Jackson goes coast to coast to the left hand and in. It was a slow start from Frank Jackson. He's got 7 in the quarter. 1:45 remaining, tied at 13. Pittard up top, Marcus Draney. Draney hands off to Neild. Slow start for Draney. Pittard on the angle, Neild. Neild hands back to Draney, who pulls for three. Too strong, and the rebound taken by Frampton. Moving down the floor, here's Curtis. Curtis, fall away off the window, and one. Beautiful take and finish, and the Lone Peak Knights have their first lead of the game, and a +1 opportunity for Curtis. Curtis to extend the lead. And it's now 16-13. See how Lehi responds. Draney up top, Pittard on the angle to Nygren. Into the corner to Neild. Draney back to Neild. He'll pull for three. Neild is fouled, and he'll shoot 2 free throws. That foul will be on Frampton. There'll be 3 free throws coming away to Neild. Neild missed the first 2 free throws and has one more. So 1 of 3 from the line. 16-14, the lead for Lone Peak. 1:09 remaining in the first quarter. Down the floor with Frank Jackson. He's got 7 in the quarter. Leading scorer is Tanner Nygren from Lone Peak, or pardon, from Lehi. Pass is stolen. Going the other way with Blaze Neild. Neild gets past the defender, off the window, and good. It would have been basket interference either way, but it's a +1 opportunity for Blaze Neild, and we're tied at 16. Neild for the +1. That's the 9th team foul on Lone Peak in the quarter. It'll be double bonus throughout the second quarter for Lehi. Can they use it to their advantage? 17-16, Pioneers lead. 17-16 lead for Lehi after Neild makes the free throw. 19 fouls on the Knights. It'll be double bonus throughout the entire second quarter for Lehi. Here's Papula. 35 seconds remaining. That ball off of Pittard and will stay with Lone Peak. Up top of Frank Jackson. Neild comes out, the pressure gives up Christian Papula. Coach Lewis not wanting to have another possession and an opportunity of free throws. Just wants one shot. We're down to 20 seconds remaining in the quarter. Papula cross court. The front is stolen by Draney. Draney going the other way, got 3 on 2. Draney goes right at Jackson, lays it up and in. Big mistake. It's now 19-16. Jackson with 5 seconds. Jackson on the right side of the lane, too strong. And they're going to have a charging foul on Frank Jackson. That is Jackson's second personal foul, the 10th team foul on Lone Peak. 3 seconds remaining in the quarter. After that charging foul on Jackson, inbound to Nygren. Nygren across the midcourt, gets it off, the count it goes, and it's off the back of the iron. At the end of 1, Lehi 19, Lone Peak 16. Start of the second quarter, it'll be Lehi basketball with a 3-point lead rather. And it'll be a double bonus this whole quarter. Nygren for 3, and Tanner Nygren with 14 points in the half. And it's now 22-16 in favor of Lehi. Back down the floor, Jackson gives off Christian Papula. Back over to Frank Jackson at 7 points in the quarter. Curtis, fall away Jay, well off the mark of the rebound to Blaze Neild. They got a foul on the rebound. And I think it'll go against Lehi. Foul goes against Tafoya. 15 foul on Lehi. Curtis. Up top, Frampton gets it back to Frank Jackson. Jackson, a deep 3. He's fouled and one! They'll get Nygren with the foul. It'll be a 4-point opportunity for Frank Jackson. So Jackson made the free throw, scores 22-20. This is after a timeout from Coach Quincy Lewis. Into the corner, Nygren. Pump fake down the baseline. Nygren to the window and good. Nygren with 16 points. Papula. To Frampton up top. Jackson again for 3. And Frank Jackson from downtown. 14 points for Frank Jackson. Back-to-back 3s. Into the corner. Barnes up top, Nygren. Here's Draney. Draney floated, too strong, tipped up, still loose, and tracked down by Curtis. 27-23, Jackson off the mark on the heat check. Board to Nygren. Nygren into the corner, Barnes for three. And Barnes lights it up from the corner. Papula. And Papula answers the three. Quickly down the floor, here's Barnes. Got 27-26 on the official scoreboard. Might have it wrong. They've had to adjust it a couple of times already. Frampton with the steal. Frampton down the lane, floated up, and he's fouled. That foul will be charged to Lehi's number 25, Dustin Tafoya. It'll be 2 free throws coming to Frampton. Five minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the half. 27 all. Nygren to Neal. Now Pittard in the corner to Barnes. Barnes up top to Neal. Now Nygren. Here's Pittard. Back to Barnes into the corner to Neal. Good defense from Lone Peak. A nice ball movement from Lehi. Long possession. Pittard kicks it out. Nygren drives the lane off the window. Leaves it short. Thought he was going to get a foul call, but there was no contact. Talmadge Gunther on the push. Gunther transition three. That's off the mark. Curtis with the rebound. 5 minutes remaining in the half. He hands off to Papula. And that ball stolen by Pittard. He sends it ahead. Neal tracks it down, saves it in. Gunther and Papula hit each other. Jap into the corner, Curtis. And Dolman hits the three. Tyson Dolman from downtown. And it's now 30-27 in favor of Lone Peak with 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the half. Pittard down the lane, got caught in the air, and there's a foul on Heaton. It'll be 2 free throws coming away at Pittard. First free throw is good. Pittard back rims his second. 30-28. Curtis pulls for three. That's off the mark. Draney with the board. Ahead to Neal. Neal in the corner. Drop it inside to Rupp. That ball slapped away. Picked up by Curtis. Ahead to Papula. Papula just his layup and scores. And that's out of bounds off of Lehi, and we'll go back to Lone Peak. Hand off Papula. Curtis back to Papula. Now Curtis. Curtis drops it into Jackson. Jackson, fall away jumper, good. Frank Jackson with 16 points in the half. Up the floor with Neal, 34-28. Three from Rupp is short, and the rebound to Papula. Lehi's got to play sharp down the stretch. Papula transition three off the mark. Curtis at the board. And that ball out of bounds, and we'll go the other way with Lehi. Up the floor now with Draney. Into the corner, Neal. Up. Now near side to Barnes. Neal straight away on the dribble. Nygren rather. And Nygren goes to the hole and scores. 34-30. 2:55 remaining in the half. Frank Jackson with 16 points in the half. Gives it up to Christian Papula. Papula with 6. Drop it into Heaton. Heaton goes to work on Nygren, leaves that one short. And the rebound taken by Chase Berry. Nygren, no look to Barnes. Barnes tried to get it over to Nygren, it's stolen. Ahead to Frank Jackson. And Jackson with a little bit of showtime. Goes up and flushes with 2 hands. Jackson now with 18. 36-30. Draney's fouled and will go to the line to shoot 2 free throws. First free throw good from Draney. Got one more. Hits the second. 36-32, 2:20 remaining in the half. Inbound to Frank Jackson. 4-point lead for the Knights. Jackson goes to Draney, gets in the lane, lost the handle. Going to give him the foul. We'll see who the foul goes on. There'll be 2 free throws coming the way of Jackson. Jackson missed the first. And rattles home the second. 19 and a half. Down the floor with Draney. Got a 37-32 Lone Peak. Draney pulls for 3. Online, but too strong. And now in the hands of Jackson, going right at Chase Berry, and it's slapped away by Berry. They're going to give it the foul. There'll be 2 free throws once again for Frank Jackson. Jackson made the first, has one more. Now 21 points in the half. 39-32, 150 remaining. Down the floor with Nygren, now over to Neal. Here's Draney. Draney into Barnes. Barnes adjusts his shot. He's fouled and will go to the line for the +1. And on the foul is going to be number 31, Braxton Bruni. Barnes for the +1. It rolls off. Nygren with the board. Nygren in the corner. Drives to the hole. Leaves that one well short. Nice pressure defense from Curtis. Bruni with the board. He hands off to Frank Jackson. Jackson loses a handle. Gets it to Curtis. Up top, Papula. 1:25 remaining in the half. Here's Doman. That's Papula. In the corner, Jackson. Here's Doman. High post to Curtis. Curtis still looking, kicks it back up top, Papula. 1:05 now on the clock. Papula working on the dribble. Down the lane, nice lead for Bruni. And he misses the layup, trying to get his own board, still loose. Tracks it down, gets it out to Frank Jackson. Here's Curtis. Back inside the big fella, and now he finishes. Best job of keeping it alive, Braxton Bruni. Quick on the run. Barnes hands back to Pittard. Here's Berry. Over to Draney. Draney in the lane, took the bump. Couldn't get the shot to go. It'll be 2 free throws. First free throw good from Draney. Second. Gets them both. 41-36. Full court pressure from the Pioneers. Hand it back to Doman. Doman had that one stolen by Berry. He really put it in on the block on the pass. Ball still loose. Berry tracks it down. Kicks it up top to Nygren. Nygren drives hard to the hole. Leaves it for Draney. A little too low. Draney couldn't handle it and will go the other way. Inbound to Jackson. Again, full court pressure. Curtis gets it ahead to Papula. Papula hard to the hole. He goes up and flushes with 2 hands. Christian Papula, the young sophomore, going the other way with Nygren. Leaves it for Draney. Draney down the baseline. Draney takes the bump, can't finish. Ball loose in the hands of Chase Berry. And Berry scores. Inside of 10 seconds, 43-38. Jackson ahead of Gunther. Pittard there, Gunther for the transition 3. Off the mark, Curtis with the board. And Curtis is fouled with half a second remaining in the first half. It'll be 2 free throws for Nick Curtis. Curtis slipped out the first, has one more. And gets the second. 44-38, half a second remaining. They won't get it off. That'll do it for the first half. An entertaining 2 quarters going into the locker room. It's the Knights 44 and the Pioneers 38. High School Rewind is excited to have Nudge as our Player of the Game sponsor. Nudge is one of the fastest growing companies in Utah Valley. With over 500 employees, Nudge is one of the largest contributors of volunteer community outreach programs. To learn more about Nudge and their program, visit www.nudge.com. Start of the second quarter, or probably third quarter, second half. Inside of Jackson, and it rolls off. Still alive, and then Rupp comes away with the board. Putting it on the floor, Nygren gives it up to Draney. Tough first half once again for Marcus Draney, but one of the better players you're going to see. Again, he's just a sophomore between Draney and Papula, and then also Frank Jackson, who's only a junior. Bright future here in Utah County. Nygren loses the handle. Jackson gets on the floor, gives up Papula. Papula can go right at Barnes. Leaves it for Doman. Doman underneath the hoop, goes up and is fouled. It'll be 2 free throws for Tyson Doman. First free throw good from Doman. Hits the second as well. 45-38 in favor of the Knights. Quickly down the floor, Nygren. Nygren gives it up to Marcus Draney. Has a larger Heaton on him. There's Draney. Draney circles around. Jumper from the junction rolls off. Ahead to Papula. Up top, Curtis on the angle with Doman. Doman skip pass to Papula. Papula goes down the lane, floated up and score it. The foul will go on nowhere to get him with the charge. Saying his foot was out in front of him. Tough call. And we'll go the other way. Wipe off the bucket. 45-38 after the foul. Papula. The second, a little bit of a Karl Malone call there with his foot out in front of him. Draney terminates, gives it up. Now Barnes up top to Nygren. Nygren had an outstanding first half, 18 points in the half. Draney swatted away by Heaton into the hands of Frank Jackson. Jackson goes at Nygren, leaves it for Doman. Doman for three. And that was well short off the hands of Lehi and will stay here. Papula gets it into Jackson, gets it right back. Work it back up top, 6:15 remaining in the quarter. Papula down the lane, floated up the left hand, no rebound. Taken by Lehi, and that was Pittard. Nygren down the lane, jackknifes it up and in. 20 points for Tanner Nygren. He's got 20, Draney has 8. Back down the floor with Frank Jackson. High post Curtis into the corner to Heaton. Heaton down the baseline, leaves it for Curtis. He'll jump it, and it comes in and out. Rebound in the hands of Nygren. Nygren ahead to Pittard. Back to Nygren. Nygren again down the lane, and Nygren fouled on the floor. That'll be the second team foul on Lone Peak, and it'll be inbound along the baseline. Pittard to trigger. Gets it into Barnes. Barnes to Nygren. Steps into a three. Nygren hits the deck, no call. Jackson came out, or pardon me, Curtis came out to challenge the shot. Jackson transition three, rolls it in. Frank Jackson has 24 points. And we got another quarter to go, 48-40, the lead for Lone Peak. Here's Draney. Draney gives it up to Pittard. Pittard slips, they're gonna get the foul on Doman. Third team foul on the Knights. 5 minutes remaining in the quarter. Cross court, Nygren. Nygren up top to Barnes. Barnes gives it to Draney, again working on Heaton. Give it up to Pittard. Near side, Nygren. Nygren in the lane, hard of the hole. Wraps it around the Draney in the corner. Corner for three, and Marcus Draney gets off the schneid, hits the big three. And it's 48-43, 11 points for Draney. Averages 15, almost 16 points a game. Here's Doman. Doman drops it into Heaton. Try to go give and go. Doman gets a loose ball to Curtis, gets it back in the corner for three. Tyson Doman lights up his second of the quarter. Doman now with 7 points, and it's 51-43. Try to go along the baseline, that one's tipped away. Doman, baseball pass ahead to Curtis. Curtis jackknifes it up and in. Nice job of letting Pittard blow by, and it's a 10-point lead for the Knights, 53-43. Timeout, Coach Barnes. 3:59 remaining in the quarter. Lone Peak starting to put it together. (53-43). Inside to Rupp. Rupp kicks it out to Nygren. Nygren will jump it inside the lane, leaves it short. Rebound in the hands of Curtis. Tough miss for Nygren. He's got 20 points on the night, leading Lehi, keeping him in this ball game. The first double-digit lead for the Knights. Can Lehi D up and get going offensively? Here's Papula. Papula on the baseline to Curtis. Curtis will jump it and score it. Curtis not bashful, the ball hits his hands. On the baseline, Barnes. Try to kick it out to Draney, picked off by Doman. Ahead to Curtis. Curtis pirouette along the baseline, off the window, and he's fouled. I believe that foul will go on Pittard. There'll be 2 free throws coming away of Curtis. First free throw good. And the second left short. Barnes with the board, 56-43 the lead for the Knights. Here's Draney. Hit that three that closed it to 48-43. They need a lot more offense. Speaking of Lehi, in the corner, Nygren. Off the screen, terminates, gets up top to Draney. 2:50 now on the clock. Draney working on Heaton, puts it up and scores it. Both games we've seen at Lehi, the second half have been the better half for Draney. Got 5 points in the quarter. He has 13 on the ball game. Here, Papula. Across the Doman. Frank Jackson, Draney training right behind him. They're going to have a foul on Rupp, and the ball comes off. There'll be 2 free throws for Frank Jackson. Jackson hits both free throws, 57-45, the lead for Lone Peak. Up the floor with Draney. Draney in the lane, kicks it out to Barnes. Barnes cross court, Nygren. Nygren put it on the floor hard to the window and scores. 22 points on the night for Tanner Nygren. 58-47. Curtis will pull for 3. That's off the mark and the rebound. Taken away by Neal to head to Draney. Draney going right at Frank Jackson. Round his back. Nearly got it to go. It'll be 2 free throws. The foul on Frank Jackson is third. 2 free throws for Marcus Draney. First free throw good from Draney. And it's back to single digits. 58-49. Draney now with 15 points. 1 minute and 55 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 9-point lead for Lone Peak. The Lehi hanging around. Papula. Now over to Curtis. 1:40 on the clock. Give it up to Doman. Back to Papula. Along the baseline to Curtis. Curtis again. That is his spot. Mid-range baseline jumpers. Curtis now with 14. Up the floor, Draney. Draney kicks it inside out to Neal. Blaze Neal can't get it to go on the rebound taken by Bruni. Into the hands of Papula. Put it on the floor with the Knights. 1:10 on the clock. Kicks it out to Curtis into the corner. Doman for 3. Tyson Doman's third 3 of the quarter. And Doman with 7 points, 6 of them after the halftime break. And it's 63-49. Nygren over to Draney. Up top to Barnes. He'll pull for 3 off the iron. And it'll be Curtis off the board. We got a foul on the rebound. And we'll stay here. That'll be the 15th foul on the Knights. Neal inbounds into Draney. Draney working off Frampton, has back to Neal. 45 seconds remaining in the third. Here's Nygren. Nygren in the lane. Series of moves, and again with traveling. Picked up his pivot foot. We'll go the other way with Lone Peak with 40 seconds remaining. Inbound into Jackson. Jackson with 26 points through 3 quarters. Mentioned his career high 55 points just a few weeks ago at the Tarkanian Classic in Las Vegas. Outside Papula. Jackson will be recruited nationally. Every school in the country going to try to get a shot at him for the most part. Stanford and Arizona, along with Duke, including Brigham Young University in state, as well as Utah. 5 seconds down the clock. Doman to Jackson, 2 seconds. Jackson will jump it up, no good and no foul. And that'll do it. The end of 3. It's Lone Peak 63, Lehi 49. Start of the fourth quarter. Inbound to Draney. Over to Nygren. Up top to Neal. Lehi's not to get it going offensively. Nice take and finish by Marcus Draney. A slow start, but Draney now with 17 points. 63-51. Had to come up with defensive stops. Interesting note to remember in this fourth quarter, Frank Jackson, leading scorer for Lone Peak, has 3 fouls. Curtis can't finish. And rebound collected by Doman. Doman leaves it for Heaton. Heaton too strong, got him with a charge. really spot to be a no call, but they get the charge on Heaton, will go the other way with Lehi. So after the personal foul, the charge on Heaton, 16 fouls on Lone Peak. It'll be bonus for Lehi in the remaining of the fourth quarter. Nygren in the corner. Barry for three, leaves it short. Rebound taken by Curtis into the hands of Frank Jackson. Jackson transition three, leaves it short. Rebound to Marcus Draney. Draney quickly up the floor. Thought he was going to get the foul, didn't get it, gets his own board, puts it back up and in. Nice job of sticking with it by Marcus Draney. He's got 19. Jackson outside Papula. Papula along the baseline and finishes. And the charge. The ball was through the hoop. Lehi is inbounding the ball. And a charge on Papula. That's tough. 7 fouls now on Lone Peak. Not an official, never have been, but I don't know how something happens and you wait that long to make the call, but they did. Draney foul on the baseline by Talmadge Gunther. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Marcus Draney. First free throw good. Sophomore eclipses the 20-point barrier. Misses the second, got 20 on the night. And then we got a whistle on the end of the floor. It's a timeout taken, full timeout taken by Quincy Lewis. 6:33 remaining in the fourth. And a foul on Draney. It'll be his second personal foul. It's a 14 foul. Always like to point out, 8-4 in team fouls. That will probably close up here pretty quickly. 6.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Stolen by Nygren. Nygren in the lane, floated up, no, gets his own putback and in. It happened the other night against AF. They started putting pressure on and getting easy buckets, but it's a much lower deficit from the comeback from, trailing now by 7. 63-56, that ball tipped by Neal into the corner. 3 on the way from Talmadge Gunther. Off the mark, Neal mistimed his jump, taken by Curtis, swatted away by Draney. Now ahead to Nygren. Nygren in the lane, bumped by Jackson, no foul, off the hands of Heaton, and will stay here. Draney to trigger the inbound. Gets it into Neal, tracked down by Tyson Doman. Now to Draney on the angle. Draney down the lane, working on Heaton. And there's the foul call on Heaton. That'll be number 4 on Heaton. That's the 19th foul. It'll be 2 free throws. Come to Marcus Draney. Draney made the first lane violation on the second after he made it, wipe it off. 63-57. Jackson quick it down the floor. Jump it up and he's fouled. It'll be 2 free throws for Frank Jackson. It was a third on Nygren. Jackson makes the first. So Jackson and Nygren, the 2 leading scorers in this game, both 3 fouls. And a second lips out for Jackson. Barry with the board, hands off to Neal to quickly ahead to Nygren. Nygren in the lane, try to go to the corner, picked off by Curtis, and an offensive foul on Nygren. That's number 4. They're always tough, and they got the charge after the pass. 4 personal fouls on Tanner Nygren with 6:07 remaining in the fourth. Quickly ahead, up to Gunther. Gunther leaves it for Heaton. Heaton can't handle it cleanly, and they're going to say off a Neal and will stay here. Dolman to trigger, gets it into Jackson. Jackson off the window, Heaton with the follow. Nice job by Heaton following it up in his 9-point lead, 66-57. 5:50 now remaining in the fourth quarter. Barry now up top to Draney. Draney pirouette in the lane and is fouled and it crawls off. It'll be 2 free throws for Marcus Draney. Draney hits the first. And the second rolls off. 22 points in the game now, but it's an 8-point ball game. 66-58. 5:40 remaining in the fourth. Jackson crossover in the lane. Heart of the hole. Oh, what a throw down. Frank Jackson. Crossover and buries it. 68-58. There's your number 1 play in our top 5 from the week. Neal leads it to Nygren. He's swatted by Heaton, and they got a foul, but it'll be 2 free throws for Tanner Nygren. First was good from Nygren, second good as well, playing with 4 fouls. 68-60. I don't know if any other play down the stretch will be as good as Frank Jackson's dunk just moments ago. Building's still buzzing from that. Probably the best in-game dunk we've seen. That tops Jordan Pendleton in the 2007 state tournament. Jackson goes after it again and lays it off the window. Frank Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, he'll lead being the best player from Lone Peak, probably from the state of Utah. He is outstanding. He has another year of high school. Draney leaves it short. Rebound to Talmadge Gunther. 70-60. Curtis reverses and can't finish. Berry with the board, gets it ahead to Draney. 4-on-1. Jackson has 3 fouls. Draney goes right at him, and it rolls in. Good job by Jackson of not getting the 4th foul. Draney tried to get it, but a beautiful layup. 70-62, 4.5 remaining in the 4th. Here's Heaton. Heaton leaves it to Curtis. Curtis again reverses and scores. Nobody in the middle to contest the shot. Nygren gives it up to Neild. Neild crossover into the inside the arc, and a foul on Talmadge Gunther. There'll be double penalty the rest of the way, as Neild will go to the line for 2 free throws. So the second free throw is good for Neild. He split the pair, 72-63, 4:05 remaining in the 4th quarter. Heaton drops it into Jackson, nearly stolen by Draney, off of Jackson's hands, and will go the other way with Lehi. Down the floor with Neild, gives it up to Draney. Draney out to Berry, now Nygren. Here's Neild, give it up to Draney. Nygren, heart of the hole and rolls it in. 28 points for Nygren. 18 in the first half, 10 in the second half. And it's 72-65. Pioneers hanging around, 3:35 remaining in the 4th quarter. Trailing by 7. Papula, give it up to Jackson. Jackson hard to the hole, swatted away by Berry, but a foul on Nygren, and that is number 5 on Tanner Nygren, and he is done. Jackson missed the first free throw during the left-right chant on to Nygren. Students in the rise, he was shooting, and he hits the second. Splits the pair, 73-65. Pretty big smile from Frank after the first miss. Draney to Neild, give it up. Berry up top to Draney. Draney working on Curtis, hands back to Berry. Neild for 3, and Blaze Neild from downtown. And it's 73-68. 3 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Jackson going around at Draney. Gives him the blow by. Pull up 3. Too strong and over the top. We'll go the other way with Lehi. 2:55 remaining in the 4th quarter. 5-point ball game. Here's Draney. Gives it up. Pittard. Plays Neild. Back to Pittard. Neild. Cross court Draney. Pulls up for 3 off the iron. And a foul on the rebound. And they're going to get Barnes with the foul. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Frank Jackson. Jackson made the front end, a lane violation on the second. 2 lane violations. We haven't had 1 all season. 75-68. Draney hard to the hole. And 1! How that went down, I'm not sure. The foul will go on Nick Curtis. And it'll be Draney at the line for the +1. Draney now with 26 points. Really got it going in the second half. 75-71, 2:34 remaining in the 4th quarter. Full court pressure on. Got it in to Nick Curtis. Curtis hands off to Doman. Trap is on. Doman ahead to Jackson. Jackson breaks the press. Jackson down the lane. Jackson looking for the foul, didn't get it, and it crawls off. Curtis with the board, goes back up too strong, and a rebound taken by Lehi. Here's Neild, hands it back to Draney. Draney down the lane and a charge. Saw that coming. No doubt about it, he's out of control, had nothing to do with positioning. And it'll be the 3rd personal foul on Marcus Draney. 75-71, 2:12 remaining in the 4th quarter. Just out of a timeout from Quincy Lewis. Inbound to Curtis into the corner. He's got to look for a way out. The trap is there. Barry has to be the 5 seconds closely guarded, but no timeout to Quincy Lewis. Dodged a bullet there. 2:07 remaining. They had the 5-second closely guarded. Get into Jackson, and Jackson is fouled. It'll be free throws to Frank Jackson. If I'm Blaze Neild, I'm raising my hand so it doesn't go on Draney. Double bonus. Jackson hit the first. And the second. Foul is on Berry, his first. We down the floor, 77-71. Lehi's going to have to make shots down the stretch. And they don't have Tanner Nygren on the floor. Pitter back to Neal. Neal pump fake, stepped inside, and was fouled by Heaton. He got Heaton to step into that. It'll be 2 free throws to Blaze Neal. Neal missed the first. 50% night from the free throw line. And gets the second. 77-72. Jackson on the inbound. Get it to Curtis. Ahead to Papula. 2-on-1. Papula wisely pulls it out. Again, all the onus is on Lehi here. Jackson, or pardon me, Curtis trying to get the foul. Got his name wrong all night long. Curtis got it back, lays it up and in. Nice job by Nick Curtis. We'll get down the field. Draney back to Barnes for 3. It brought down rain, but it doesn't go in. Curtis with the board. 7-point lead. Get ahead of Doman. Lone Peak looking to ice this thing away here on this possession. Jackson inside to Gunther, swatted from behind. They got a charging call on Gunther. Draney drew it. 1:15 remaining in the fourth. That was the 5th personal foul on Talmadge Gunther. 7-point lead with 1:10 remaining. Here's Neal. Now Barnes. Barnes working on Jackson. Barnes goes through the hole, can't finish. Rebound to Nick Curtis. That ball needed to go through Marcus Draney there. 1 minute remaining. Frank Jackson, hard to the hole, and Jackson finishes. Quickly down the floor with Barry. Barry in the lane and a block. 2 free throws coming away of Barry. Barry missed the first, has one more. And the second rims out. Jackson with the board. Lost the handle and we'll go back to Lone Peak. Into Jackson. And then the foul. That'll go on Neal. And Jackson will shoot 2 free throws. 46 seconds remaining in the fourth. Jackson now with 39 points, looking for number 40. And just off the mark, rebound to Draney. Clip the 4, 40 seconds remaining. Tough week for Lehi. The 2 top teams in the region. Jackson getting a little showtime, no, and 1. Neal tracked him down. Jackson was one to dunk it. He got the outstanding finish on the layup. He's now got 41, going to the line looking for 42. Jackson left it short. Clear up the floor now with Neal. 30 seconds remaining. But a tough week for Lehi. They're going to take 2 losses to open region. And for Lone Peak, they'll open 3-0. Out of bounds will stay here. Inbound to Barry off his hands. Ahead to Frank Jackson. He'll wisely pull it out and hold it out for the last 20 seconds. 41 points for Frank Jackson on the night. And a nice win for Lone Peak and for Lehi. The team will continue to get better as we're at 10 seconds. Papula will dribble it out. Frank Jackson, an outstanding night tonight, but a great night for Draney and also Nygren. Lehi will continue to get better throughout the year. And our final score, Lone Peak 84, Lehi 72. Stay tuned for our post-game wrap-up and our Nudge Player of the Game selection. And welcome back to Lone Peak High School. Again, our final score, the Lone Peak Knights 84 and the Lehi Pioneers 72. Lone Peak goes to 3-0 in region play, and Lehi, we talked about it on Tuesday, the murderer's row for these guys this week. They dropped against American Fork, but a terrific showing tonight against Lone Peak. Played very, very well, hung in this ball game, losing by 12, but they were in this game the whole time. It'll be very interesting to see how they continue to get better throughout region. Expect them to actually make a run maybe in the 5A tournament. They're that good. When you got a kid like Marcus Draney and then Tanner Nygren, they'll give him an opportunity. Nygren had 28, Draney had 29, most of those coming in the second half. But tonight's night was all about Frank Jackson. He had the top 5, he had a top 5 dunk. He'll probably be number 1 in our top 5 plays. Stay tuned for that link coming up. But he played very, very well, had 41 points in this ball game and kept his wits about him and led Lone Peak to this win. It was a nice start from Lehi, but things got settled down as Frank Jackson got going offensively. Played very, very well, did an outstanding job, and he is our Nudge Player of the Game. Had a terrific night tonight. I mentioned he had 41 points. Once again, going over the 40-point barrier. Had the 55-point game. We talked about the Tarkanian Classic. He's had a couple other 40-point games this year. He's having an outstanding season. Only a junior. We'll continue to remind you of that throughout the year, but playing very well alongside Frank Jackson. Thought Nick Kurz played very well. The cast of characters are starting to put together. Christian Papula, just a sophomore, he had a highlight reel dunk as well in this ball game. He'll continue to get better as he continues to acclimate himself to being at Lone Peak and playing a different brand of basketball coming up from Bishop Gorman High School. He'll get things put together as Lone Peak continues to get stronger as the year goes on. Quincy Lewis getting to know his team. It'll be a lot of fun. These two teams really, I think, will make a run in the 5A tournament. It'll be a lot of fun to see Region 4 as American Fork is playing well. Pleasant Grove had a good preseason. It should be a blast to watch the 5A state tournament this year with so many tough teams. Well, again, our Nudge player of the game and go to Frank Jackson. With over 500 employees, Nudge is one of the fastest growing companies in Utah Valley. To learn more about Nudge and their community outreach programs, go to www.nudge.com. Again, our Nudge player of the game, Frank Jackson, and our final score, the Lone Peak Knights 84 and the Lehi Pioneers 72. For Vince Francis, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching High School Rewind, only on Xfinity On Demand.